Is Klopp the normal one? That is the question. And in this video I'm going to talk about reported questions or indirect questions. If you haven't seen video 1, which is about reported speech or indirect speech, click on this link now. So this video is talking about reported questions or indirect questions. I'm going to use some questions from Jürgen Klopp's first interview at Liverpool Football Club. So these were some questions that they asked him. So I think it was the first question they asked was, tell us what attracted you to this challenge, how does it feel? So if you want to report that question, so if you want to tell somebody what this journalist said, you would say, he asked, or he asked him how it felt. So what you see here is that does, we don't use does in the reported question. So we don't use do or does. We don't need that in the reported question or the indirect question. We basically use this structure here. He asked him, and then a question word. So here you would say what or where or how many or why. In this example, how. He asked him how, subject, and then the verb in the past. So you put the verb back from present to past. So I'll write that structure here. So he asked him, plus the question word, how, plus the subject, it, and then the verb. And with the verb you put it back from present to past. Another example is this question here, which a journalist asks Jürgen Klopp. Is it all a little bit surreal? When you have a yes or no question, so in this question the answer is yes or no, then you would use if. So you would say, she asked him if it was all a little bit surreal. So I'll write that down here first and then we can look at the structure of it. So, she asked him, it's the same as what we have here. He asked him, she asked him, and instead of writing the question word, you'll say if. This is when you have a yes or no question, you write if. You can also use whether. You can also say she asked him whether. And then, the same structure as here, you have subject and a subject, and then the verb. Here it's in present, and then here you just put it into past. So I'll write that structure here. So, she asked him if, and the subject, if it, and then the verb, and remember also with the verb you go present to past, you go back a tense. She asked him if it was all a little bit surreal. So using these rules, see can you put these questions, which are 3 more questions from the Jürgen Klopp press conference in Liverpool, see can you report these questions here. So he asked him. For this one, how do you describe yourself? For this one, how do you see yourself fitting into Liverpool's history? And are there similarities between Dortmund and Liverpool? Okay, so let's have a look at the first question. How do you describe yourself? So this answer would be, he asked him how, and then we don't need do. Change you to he. He asked him how he described himself. Okay, using the same structure, when you apply it to this one, he asked him, or the journalist asked him, or the journalist asked Klopp, how, again we don't need do, how he saw himself. So it's this same structure here. He asked him, and then the question word, he asked him how he saw himself. And then the subject, and then the verb in past. And then the final question, remember this is a yes or no question, so you need if. He asked him if, and then we change these around, if there are similarities between Dortmund and Liverpool. But it's the same structure, it's the same, it's if and then the subject and then the verb. If there are similarities between Dortmund and Liverpool. So for the answers to these questions, go and watch the interview. You just need to Google or put into YouTube, I'm the normal one, and you'll see the interview will come up. And have a look at the interview because the answers are great and it's a really interesting, engaging, funny, entertaining, charismatic interview with Jürgen Klopp. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like it, to share it, and please come back for more. If you want to see more video tips like this, just click on these videos here. So when do we use in, on, at to talk about time and to talk about location? This video will talk about the top 3 tips to remember vocabulary. So do you know the difference between this and this? Why